Date March 8, 2014. Time 12:42 am. A Boeing 777-200ER operated by Malaysia Airlines took off from Kuala Lumpur and turned towards Beijing, climbing to its assigned cruising altitude of 35,000 feet. The designator for Malaysia Airlines is MH. The flight number was 370. Farik Hamid, the first officer, was flying the airplane. Neither he nor the world knew about what's coming next. The mysterious disappearance of Boeing 777 with 239 passengers and crew members on board sent shockwaves around the world and sparked one of the largest search operations in aviation history. In this video, we will explore the events leading up to the disappearance of MH370, the search efforts that followed, and the theories surrounding what happened to the plane. Farik Hamid, the first officer, was flying the airplane. He was 27 years old. This was a training flight for him, the last one. He would soon be fully certified. His trainer was the pilot in command, a man named Zahari Ahmad Shah, who at 53 was one of the most senior captains at Malaysia Airlines. In the cabin were 10 flight attendants, all of them Malaysians. They had 227 passengers to care for, including 5 children. Most of the passengers were Chinese. Of the rest, 38 were Malaysian, and in descending order, the others came from Indonesia, Australia, India, France, United States, Iran, Ukraine, Canada, New Zealand, Netherlands, Russia, and Taiwan. Up in the cockpit that night, while First Officer Farik flew the airplane, Captain Zahari handled the radios. Zahari's transmissions were a bit unusual.
Speed check.
At 1:01 am, he radioed that they had leveled off at 35,000 feet.
Standard.
At 1:08, the flight crossed the Malaysian coastline and set out across the South China Sea in the direction of Vietnam. Zahari again reported the plane's level at 35,000 feet. The last voice communication from the crew occurred at 1:19 am, and at 1:21 am, the plane's transponder, which communicated with the air traffic control, was switched off. At 1:30 am, Malaysian military and civilian radar began tracking the plane as it turned around and then flew southwest over the Malay Peninsula and then northwest over the Strait of Malacca. At 2:22 am, Malaysian military radar lost the contact with the plane over the Andaman Sea. An Inmarsat satellite in geostationary orbit over the Indian Ocean received hourly signals from Flight 370, and it last detected the plane at 8:11 am. And just like that, MH370 was gone.
Disappeared en route to Beijing.
After the disappearance of 370, an international search and rescue operation was launched, involving numerous countries and organizations including Australia, China, and the United States. The initial search covered an area of over 120,000 square kilometers in the South China Sea. However, no wreckage was found. After it was determined that Flight 370 had turned to the west shortly after the transponder was switched off, search efforts moved to the Strait of Malacca and Andaman Sea. The search area was then expanded to the Indian Ocean southwest of Australia on the southern arc and Southeast Asia, Western China, the Indian subcontinent, and the Central Asia on the northern arc. On March 24, Malaysian Prime Minister Najib Razak announced that based on analysis of the final signals, Inmarsat and the UK Air Accidents Investigation Branch had concluded that the flight crashed in a remote part of Indian Ocean.
I must inform you that according to this new data, flight MH370 ended in the southern Indian Ocean.
The first piece of debris was not found until July 29, 2015, when the right wing flaperon was discovered on a beach on the French island of Reunion, about 3,700 kilometers west of the Indian Ocean area that was being searched by the Australian authorities. Over the next year and a half, 26 more pieces of debris were found on the shores of Tanzania, Mozambique, South Africa, Madagascar, and Mauritius. Three of the 27 pieces were positively identified as coming from the Flight 370, and 17 were thought to have likely come from the plane. Two pieces came from the cabin interior, suggesting that the plane had broken up, but whether the plane broke up in the air on an impact with the ocean could not be determined. Study of the reunion wing flaperon and a piece of right wing flap found in the Tanzania showed that the plane had not undergone a controlled descent. That is, the plane had not been guided to a water landing. Some researchers note that Flight 370 could have struck the water vertically. The debris locations were used to narrow the search area in the Indian Ocean, since some possible crash sites would have been unlikely to produce debris that would have drifted to the Africa. The search was one of the most extensive and complex operations in aviation history, involving over 2 dozen countries and multiple organizations. However, the search efforts did not yield any conclusive evidence of the plane's location. The governments of Malaysia, Australia, and China called off the search for Flight 370 in January 2017. An American company, Ocean Infinity, received permission from the Malaysian government to continue searching until May 2017, when the Malaysian Transport Ministry announced that it would call off that search. In July 2018, Malaysian government issued its final report on Flight 370's disappearance. Mechanical malfunction was deemed extremely unlikely, and the change in the flight path likely resulted from the manual inputs. But the investigators could not determine why Flight 370 disappeared. The disappearance of MH370 has led to numerous theories about what happened to the plane. Some believe that the plane was hijacked and flown to a secret location. No individual or group claimed responsibility, and it seemed unlikely that hijackers would have flown the plane to southern Indian Ocean. Others suggest that the plane was shot down by military forces, but no evidence of shrapnel from a missile or other projectiles has been found. There are also theories that the plane crashed due to mechanical failure or that the pilots intentionally crashed the plane. One of the most popular theories is that the plane was flown off course intentionally and that the disappearance was an act of pilot suicide. This theory is based on evidence that the plane's transponder was turned off deliberately and that the plane flight path was changed manually. However, there is no concrete evidence to support this theory and it remains just one of the many possibilities. The disappearance of MH370 is one instance where entire world was united to pray for the safety of people on board. It remains one of the greatest aviation mysteries of all time. Despite the years of searching and investigation, no one knows for certain what happened to the plane or the people on board. As the search for answers continues, the world will never forget the 239 passengers and crew members who vanished without a trace on that fateful day in 2014. Like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel for more interesting mysteries of the world.